This video is brought to you by CatBeast.com. Design your own custom snapbacks and hats.
Paying tribute to past icons by wearing their jersey numbers is fine and well, but some players have unique and personal stories behind the numbers that they choose. For some, it may be a tragic incident, and for others, it might be to remember great players of the NBA's past. In today's video, we take a look at the real story behind why Tony Parker wears number 9. Welcome to NBA Insider.
Westbrook shows from the basketball, goes to the rim!
For anyone who follows sports, especially basketball, you've probably heard a lot about 6-time NBA All-Star Tony Parker. However, the point guard from France who is currently playing for the San Antonio Spurs hasn't always been this well known. As a matter of fact, there's actually a lot that we still don't know about him. For one thing, many people still don't know the significant story behind the number 9 jersey that we see him wearing night after night. William Tony Parker Jr. was born on May 17, 1982 in Bruges, Belgium. Growing up as a kid, Tony spent most of his childhood moving from city to city. He would also spend his summers at his grandparents' house in Chicago, Illinois. It was actually there in Chicago that Tony Parker's father, Tony Parker Sr., learned to play the game of basketball. As an African-American basketball player who eventually developed his skills on the court, his father starred at Loyola University from 1973 to 1977. Tony Parker's father was a talented shooting guard who had dreams of going big. However, when he realized that the basketball competition within America at the time was above his level, he decided to head across the Atlantic Ocean to pursue his dreams in Europe. His first stop was in Amsterdam, where he met his future wife and Tony Parker's mother, Pamela Firestone. As a baby born to an American father and a Dutch mother, Tony's father moved to a city in France called Rouen to play for their professional team. Growing up as a child, despite the fact that his father was a former basketball player, Tony Parker actually liked to play and watch soccer. This situation had changed on his 9th birthday when he had taken a trip to Chicago and went to a Chicago Bulls game back in 1991. It was there that he became a huge fan of NBA legend Michael Jordan. As a matter of fact, it was actually Michael Jordan that had inspired Tony Parker to change his mind and begin playing the sport of basketball. From the first time he saw Michael Jordan play, he idolized the high-flying superstar and was inspired to become like him and make it to the NBA. So over the next few summers, as he started to get older, he began to spend his Chicago visits working on his basketball game. His father was proud by his son's decision to focus on basketball, so much so that he decided to teach Tony everything he knew about the sport. Despite all of this support, it was actually another man who pushed Tony Parker to the next level and helped get him to where he is today. Tony's father wasn't the only source of his basketball genes. As a matter of fact, his uncle on his mother's side was Jean-Pierre Stellon. Jean-Pierre was a famous former French basketball player and a legendary figure in France. He was also an amazing player who once scored 71 points in a 1967 game. This was the same man who had trained Tony Parker's father, the same man who played an important role in helping Tony Parker Sr. launch his European career. As a young teenager who had increased his passion for the game of basketball, Jean-Pierre acted as a valuable teacher towards Tony Parker for a majority of his life. Jean-Pierre helped turn Tony Parker into a strong, quick, and coordinated player who was also a magnificent scorer. He was actually the one that believed in Parker's athletic abilities and convinced him that he had what it took to make it to the NBA. So with his dad there for moral support and Jean-Pierre acting as a mentor, Tony Parker began his basketball journey. Although Tony Parker built his skill mainly on the basketball court, it was actually his lack of size that would eventually decide his position on the court. Despite his love for Michael Jordan, he slowly began to identify himself more and more with players such as Isaiah Thomas and Gary Payton, basically as a lightning quick point guard that could deliver the ball and easily score. He played as a point guard after recognizing that his speed and agility made this position ideal for him. As the years passed on, Tony Parker slowly began to develop into somewhat of an amazing player. With support and training from Jean-Pierre, he was eventually asked to attend the National Institute for Sports and Physical Education in Paris as a recruit. With Tony Parker leading the team, they went 16-14, their best season ever. However, both him and Jean-Pierre didn't feel challenged by the level of competition that he was facing. So the following year, he went up against older and stronger players where he thrived, leading the league in scoring and steals. By 1997, Tony's name began to circulate in European basketball circles everywhere. Pierre. As a more confident and polished player, Tony Parker decided to join France's national junior team for the European Championships. The 18-year-old guided the French team to a title and earned MVP honors along the way. His outstanding performances made him a hot commodity in France's more accomplished professional leagues. So after playing in the French amateur leagues for 2 seasons, Tony Parker turned professional and signed with Paris Basket Racing back in 1999. Now, as I mentioned before, Jean-Pierre, who was once also a member of the French national basketball team, was the true mentor of Tony. He was there for Tony Parker when he needed him most. He trained with Parker day and night, helped develop him into an outstanding player, motivated him to strive for greatness, and convinced Tony that he had what it takes to make it to the NBA. Jean-Pierre wasn't just a mentor to Tony, he was like a second father. In addition to being a basketball coach for Parker, Jean-Pierre's influence also extended itself to Parker's choice in nationality. Tony Parker was born in Belgium to an American father and Dutch mother, so why is he a French citizen? The reason behind this was due to Parker's loyalty and love towards Jean-Pierre. Since Parker idolized him so much, just like Jean-Pierre, he also applied for French citizenship at the age of 15, even though he could have chosen among 4 nationalities. So when Jean-Pierre suddenly passed away on New Year's Eve on the night of December 31st, 1999, Tony Parker was heartbroken. You see, Jean-Pierre was supposed to be there to witness Tony Parker take the stands as he heard his name being called during the 2001 NBA draft as the 28th pick in the first round. After all, he was the one that convinced Tony that he could make it to the NBA even when he never believed in himself. Unfortunately, he couldn't be there for Tony when it mattered most. Despite all of this, instead of moving on and leaving Jean-Pierre's legacy to disappear in the past, Tony Parker decided to claim the jersey number 9 in honor of his godfather, who also wore the number during his playing days in France. Some NBA analysts claim that he also chose the number 9 because it was the same number worn by Michael Jordan when he played for the Dream Team in the 1992 Olympic Summer Games in Barcelona. Luckily for Parker, he would go on to have his own experience with MJ himself, as he would challenge Michael Jordan in 2002 during a San Antonio Spurs versus Washington Wizards game. In the end, the Spurs won the game with Jordan's 16 points being overshadowed by Tony Parker's 21. The cool thing to note is that he played the game while still honoring Jean-Pierre by wearing that number 9 jersey. Since 2001, Tony Parker has kept the jersey number on his back night after night. He is still with the San Antonio Spurs under the guidance of head coach Greg Popovich even to this day. However, he did recently receive an injury which might bring talks about retirement. And although many of you guys may view this as not being a big deal as to why he wears the jersey number 9, what we have to understand is that Tony Parker wouldn't be who or where he is today if it wasn't for Jean-Pierre. Tony Parker's number 9 jersey will always signify his memory of Jean-Pierre, the man who not only pushed Tony towards stardom but was there when he needed him most. Jean-Pierre never got the chance to witness what Tony Parker has become today. Despite the fact that he is no longer alive, Tony Parker still carries the legacy of Jean-Pierre on his back as he plays each and every night on the NBA's wooden floors. The game of basketball was deprived of a great mentor 18 years ago when Jean-Pierre lost his life. But for Tony Parker, his memory lives on as a constant symbol of honor. There will always be a new season. There will always be a new year. But the legacy will always remain the same. And that concludes the video. As always, if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. If I made any mistakes or missed anything that you felt should have been included, please let me know. Also, if you have any recommendations for future videos such as interesting stories or topics like this, please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. As always, thanks for watching NBA Insider.